All right, organization, it is Friday, November 16th, and today begins our Mercedes Car Club. For those of you that don't know me, I am Michelle Zito. I'm a company vice president in Mary Grace's organization. And we just have been really talking a lot about a lot of the leaders. We've been talking about how we haven't really been putting enough emphasis on our spectacular Mercedes car plan. It's probably one of the best perks that Park Lane offers. And yet somehow we're letting it go by the wayside. Now my earring just fell out of my ear. This is a great day. There are so many promotions that go on that we do keep really good track of, I think, personally and as leaders. So let's say Rich Rewards, right? There are so many things that help us to pay attention to Rich Rewards. One is it's a smaller thing to track, right? You're trying to just get to 1,000 in the first 2 weeks. That's something that's pretty easy to track. And there's a report by Park Lane that supports it. And, we can just kind of watch the numbers grow, and there's a tile for when they achieve it, and we can post it. And that gets us $250 worth of jewelry and the commission on whatever part of that 1,000 was net, right? Which is great. However, perks like the Mercedes plan, which then therefore logistically lead you to a promotion in level typically, will make you so much more money. And that's why it's really time for us as an organization to turn our attentions to this program, pay attention to what the requirements are, not just for ourselves, but for those in our organizations that want to earn a Mercedes. So when we do this, not only are we earning the $500 if you choose to not drive a Mercedes, or the $700 if you do, but you are earning the overrides on people that are focused on doing this same thing. So you're earning your 8% or your 6% or whatever your percentage is on all of those people. And it's not just sales volume, right? It's the sales volume that, depending on your level, could be leading you to weekly and monthly bonuses. Income producing. It's the new people that people working towards Mercedes are bringing to the team. Those are $1,000 launches that you're getting paid on that are bringing you recruiting bonuses and increasing your overall volume. So if you want to talk about something that is worth your time to track and put extra phone calls into and things like that, then it's time to start paying attention to the Mercedes car program. And next to it, to also keep a business, a comp plan, either brochure, or I recommend that shorter flyer where it's just a one-page thing that shows what you need to go from one level to the next and what you earn at one level to the next. There's now a one-pager on that, and maybe I'll even show that on the screen share here today, because that's a pretty new addition to the field interface and a lot of people don't know where it is. So in order to put this focus together as leaders that want to achieve it and leaders that want to help support others achieve it, then I thought it would be best if we could all work together on it. So that's why I thought a Mercedes Car Club was the way to go, because first of all, everybody loves being a part of something. This allows everybody, and I include, myself, everyone that's either watching this live or watching this later in this, because when you're working together with a group on something, it's so much more fun. We'll be able to bounce ideas off each other. I need one more new team member to earn my Mercedes. How can I find somebody, in the last 5 days here that we have in November? And somebody who's just about to do the same thing can share their idea. So in order for us to all be in the same place working on this, I am going to create a Mercedes Car Club group. I know we have a lot of Facebook groups, But I feel like if someone wants to work hard enough to earn a Mercedes, then we can be okay with one more round of notifications. Because sometimes people are like, oh, it's so many notifications. You know what? This is income producing. It's something that will get attention to your business. It's something that you will personally enjoy so much when you have it. Speaking from somebody who drove, well, I'll get to that in a minute. But it's worth having one more Facebook group in your life for something that can bring you this much value, both internally and externally. So, couple of things, just nuts and bolts. What I'm going to do is we're going to be setting up the calls. We're going to do 5 weeks straight of Tuesday night at 9 o'clock calls. Okay, that's when the Zooms are going to be. Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock. The next 5 weeks brings us straight to December 18th, because the last Tuesday in December is actually Christmas. So we'll spend that day with our families. But we will go straight through December 18th. And then we can evaluate, do we want to do also straight through January and take us through convention so that we can have so many more people walking around convention with that I am a Mercedes Car Plan member, right? And, you know, perhaps even getting in the car in that amount of time. And we will then continue to keep the group going. And what we can do as the starting members of this, we can decide, is this something we want to keep going for the organization all the time? Do we want to, how frequently do we want to continue with the calls? But that's not something we need to decide today. Today, we're deciding the next 5 weeks, we're going to pay a lot of attention to putting ourselves and others in a Mercedes. So the first thing that we need to do in order to be able to do this is to know what your requirements are. I'm sorry, yes, I did, was not nearly clear enough about the time. Tuesday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. So whatever time slot zone you are in, that's when it'll be. And just like everything else in the world that I offer, it will be recorded, uploaded to YouTube, posted in the group, so that anytime you have, if you have a show, then by all means do your show, catch up later. However, other than a show, I would really try to keep your schedule open on these Tuesday nights, because there's really no debating that being on any kind of training live is a million times better than watching back the playback. You get to ask questions, you feel more engaged, and you come ready to participate. So step 1 is to know what it takes to earn a Mercedes at your level and at the level of those you are trying to help. So you may have somewhere in your office one of any version of the Mercedes car brochure. The requirements have never changed as long as I've been here in 5 years. So any version that you have is fine. The cover is just what's different. So if you do not have these already in your office, then I'm going to show you where they are on the Fields interface. So, and of course, since I just did a reboot, I have nothing open. Okay, so you guys can see my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Normally, I would have this all signed in already. I don't know why Microsoft thinks they know better than me what my needs are. Okay, so when we go to the Fields interface, and of course you can go to the downloads, and here it is, Mercedes Car Plan Brochure. So jot this down as your number 1 task. If you don't have one from the company, you're going to print this bad boy out, because it's important that this is in front of you at all times. Now, this is the fine print. We'll come back to that in a second. Let's go to what the requirements actually are. So branches and areas have the same requirements. Now, before you have a heart attack looking at the numbers, or maybe you're pleasantly surprised looking at the numbers, note that this is a 2-month span. So if you're a branch or an area, over 2 months, you need to have team sales. And the good news is that this is net and non, okay? So net and non sales of 16,000, and then 4 recruits between all of you. And the only stipulation on the recruits is that you can't have 3 out of the 4 all under one of the people under you. So if you're a senior division, I'm sorry, this is branch and area. If you're an area and one of your team members is responsible for 3 of the recruits, that's not going to work. You have to do, like, nobody can be more than 50% of any of these numbers, okay? So 16,000 over 2 months and 4 qualified recruits. And of course, we know that's 1,000 net non is a qualified recruit. All right.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What if you did them all yourself?
That's completely fine.
Okay, so they can all be under you, but they can't all be under somebody else.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. And then divisions, your numbers are slightly higher, 20,000 over the 2 months and 6 recruits over the 2 months. So that's the part that puts you in qualification, okay? Because then after that, you're simply doing maintenance. And maintenance is kind of just a 1-month version of these numbers. So branches and areas, any month, once you've done these 2 qualification months, any month that a branch and an area team does 8,000 and 2 recruits, in which case one could be yours, one could be someone else's, that's fine, you receive your Mercedes car plan payment. Any month that a division does 10,000 and 3 recruits, and they can be spread out. If you do 1, it's okay if the other 2 are not from the same person, once again, okay? Then that will earn you your Mercedes payment. So just for those of you that are coming to the call with really very limited knowledge of what this program even is, what you do is you can purchase, if you want to purchase the Mercedes, that's fine. It has to be brand new or within, I believe, 3 years old. And of course you can lease. I can tell you that from a tax standpoint, your best bet is to, especially if you are incorporated, which is a whole probably separate training, but if you choose to incorporate your business, then your entire lease payment and everything related to your car is its small business tax write-off. And that is a tremendously fabulous tax break for you as a 1099 person. So if that's something that you want to discuss with your leader or any of us that you know that are incorporated, I know this is kind of like my husband's department of our little business here, but I really do know that we write off the entire lease and everything related to the car because it's incorporated and it's a company car as they see it, okay? So that's for branches, areas, and divisions. Once you've done this 2-month qualification at these levels, any month that you do this, even let's say you do the qualification, you did a month of maintenance, and then like you went into the witness protection program, you haven't done anything in a while, and you haven't qualified for it in like a year. You've been active, but like you haven't done it ever again. Partly didn't forget that you qualified. So the next time that you do this, you'll see that money show up on your paycheck, okay? So it's a lifetime qualification. Just stay active. Now, if you are a senior division, a sales VP or a company VP, it's a one-shot deal. Senior divisions, any month with 16,000 and 4 recruits, you qualify, you're in, you get the money. Sales VPs, it's 32,000 and 5. company VPs 60,000 and 10. Okay, so those are the numbers that you'll need to track. If you choose to not get the Mercedes, then you're going to get a payment of $500. If you do, and you shoot that paperwork over to Scotty, then you will receive a payment of $700 anytime that you earn those numbers. So going back to the fine print, it's just reiterating, what qualified means. Personal and group recruits both counts. Net and non counts. The car has to be in your name. If you purchase it, it's got to be 2 years old. Okay. The 50% thing. So, and then when you earn it, there's a form that you put in so that you know how we had some contests we have to claim. This is one that you claim the first time you do it. And then, like I said, you're in the computer forever unless you became inactive. And then you are going to have to start all over. So don't do that. All right. But if you're running a business strong enough to earn a Mercedes, then let's not be dumb enough to go inactive. All right. Okay. So that is your Mercedes car plan brochure. If that is not something that you have one in your home, your office, whatever you keep your stuff right now, then as soon as we hang up, I'm going to need you to print that out so that it's in front of you. We did ask Crystal if she would be kind enough to create a tracker at each qualification level in time for our first training call on Tuesday, and she did agree to do that. So we will have a tracker for you probably by the end of the weekend, but definitely by Tuesday, so that you'll have something that you can write on. Now, one of the things I really want you to think about, if you're somebody who is earning it yourself or wanting to earn it yourself, or you know that you're going to be working with someone who is. We're already in the middle of November, but I don't want you to forget about looking back to October because October was a really good month for a lot of people. So you really should sit down and look at your October numbers to see what you would be adding to for this month to see if you can pull it off doing an October, November, instead of thinking you're starting today and attaching November to December. Because you, of course, can do that. I just don't want you to miss out on the opportunity that many of you killed it in October. And you may well be better off attaching October to this month, counting up the recruits you need, and then going and killing it for these next 2 weeks. So the detailed report is the safest spot for you that's the safest numbers for you to look at. When I say the detailed report, is that something you would like me to just double show you, or do we know what I'm talking about?
You could show us.
Okay, so let me go back then. So let me go back to the screen here. Okay, every time I do it again, you guys jump to a different part of my screen. Okay, so the detailed report, if you go to reports and then scroll down here to detailed report, this is where you'll find it helpful, especially in finding like whose recruits belong to who. When you're trying to help an area, this is very helpful because it not only shows, it just takes a while to open depending on the size of your team. So I did click it, just bear with me that it takes a minute to open it. So that you'll be able to look at the numbers that are held so far, whose recruits belong to who, etc.
While we're waiting for this to open, what's the difference between a lease and a buy? Because it said 2 years on a buy, but not so much on a lease?
Because on a lease, you're always going to have a new car anyway, because a lease is 2 or 3 years. So I guess that's the difference.
It's going to be good for 3 years, or how? How long is
The lease is good for 3 years, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I'm on year 2 with mine right now, and it's not like they told me time's up or anything. Belinda had hers for the 3 years and is already in her second one. So yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So your detailed report, okay? So let's say like this is the detailed report for myself, right? This shows you your personal sales by month, okay? So if I was attaching October, I can see that my personal number I contributed is this, right? 9376. And then I can scroll down to my downline sales and know that I'm adding it to this, okay? To this, the 81. And then I would just need to track my qualified recruits. So I would know, okay, I'm a company VP. I well exceeded the sales that I needed. So do I have my 10? And that's something that I track every month because for many, many reasons, I want a minimum of 10 new team members. And I will show you the weekly recruiting report, which is a great spot to even just track that. But down here is where my team recruiting is. So these show me the dates of, this shows me who recently joined so that we know these are part of my organization, which of course I would know because I'm the highest level in my group. This is more important when you're looking at like an area so that you know whose recruits are hers and things like that. Okay. So here's the recruits that the people I directly recruited. So when you want to know who you recruited, just keep scrolling down because there they are. Okay. So when it comes to, so this will help you with some of that tracking, okay? Because see how some of these are really, really old numbers. So don't scroll to, you won't need that information that's that old. But going to the reports, what I find to be easily the most successful way to track your recruits for both in terms of qualifying them and knowing who started when is when you go into the central reports and then you click weekly recruiting report. If this is not part of your, and I think this is something for divisions and above. So if you don't have this report, just bear with me, but also know that your leader will have this report and can open it on your behalf and help you out. Okay, so the weekly recruiting report, this report shows you all the recruits on your team within your last 6 weeks and where they stand. See, I'm being forced not to talk too fast. Isn't this? I'm choosing to look at this as a positive. You see what I'm doing there? What a blessing that this opens slowly and I don't have to rush this training. Breathe the lavender candle. Breathe. Okay. So, on this, I can see that Summer King, okay, number 23. She so far has sold 705 net, 75 non, so she's at 780. She launched in November. See, start date 11/7. So I know that she's one of my overall Mercedes for November. She has until December 5th to qualify, and she's also part of Belinda's Mercedes qualification for this month because that's who recruited her. So a habit that I have on Fridays is to look, or sometime shortly thereafter, is to print this report, go through who still needs to qualify, and message that leader and let them know what they have to go. So I would send a message that says, hey, Belinda, your girl Summer King is at 780. She has, what would that be, 220? She's got 220 to go to qualify, and she has until December 5th. However, better she does it by the end of this month so that she's ready to go to branch, right? Because if she puts in that 280 the first week of December, yeah, she'll be qualified, but then she didn't do 1,000 in 1 month to be able to promote to branch. And that's also something we always want to be working on, right? Getting somebody in the 1,000 in the month that they started. Plus, then we know they're set for the Mercedes for our count as well. So that's just an extra bonus. Okay, so I would look here for anyone coming up whose qualification date is actually this coming Wednesday, and make sure that for sure I was in touch, because now they're on like 6 days to go at this point. So tracking this will help you track your Mercedes, but in turn, it's going to help you to get into the habit of having a higher rate of qualified recruits, having new recruits that go in at 1,000 in the month that they started, so that guess what? Now you get to call that recruit and say, oh my gosh, congratulations, you just took your first step to getting a raise with Park Lane. And they're gonna say, I did? Yeah, the first step to getting a raise with Park Lane is to have 1 month that you sell $1,000. Step 2 is to bring someone onto your team that we help get qualified, just like we did with you, by doing a launch party. Who do you know that we can talk to today? And let's get them, let me see if I can get some questions answered. And if they want some more information, you're going to put them into check out Life as a Park Lane Stylist group, so that they can start seeing the perks of working here, so that they can be in on the next live Q&A. I don't know if you spotted that Jennifer Bond is going to do the next live Q&A in our team Check Us Out group. And it's going to be, I believe, next Wednesday at 8. So this week is a great time for you and your team to follow up with more leads, to send some private messages out. Hey, was thinking of you, thought you might want some income for the holidays. Would you like to be a fly on the wall and check out our group here that would answer some of your questions? Would love to share some info with you. The more messages like that go out, the more people you can add to the group, the more that are going to see the live Q&A, the more will be interested in joining, the more you can launch. There you go. Recruits for your Mercedes car plan. Recruits for your team members' Mercedes car plan. Because I don't think that we need to, I will remind that when you promote a branch, you get to go to that magnificent dinner at convention. And I don't know if that is something that you were at last year, but at the previous convention, just so you know, it was open bar and surf and turf. There were 2 girls at my table that were freaking out because they never had lobster before. And we were eating lobster, compliments of Park Lane, which is why we all came in mighty toasty to that dance party, because we had just had 2 hours of open bar and surf and turf, and then came in and had our fun night of dancing. So I hope that what you're seeing here is that focus on the Mercedes is going to bring so much more to your organization. And it's for those of you that are upper level leaders, it's going to bring you a level of focus that you may not have previously had, because you're knowing what to track. You're knowing where to look for it, and you're knowing how to follow up. You don't need fancy trackers for all this stuff. Literally every month, I grab the nearest piece of paper on this disaster of a desk. I write 1 through 10, and every time I see a new team member go onto the team, I write their name, I write the sales they have so far, and every week when I look at the weekly recruiting report, I update my list. And I'm working back with the leaders, checking back with, are they aware of the 5th date? What do they have on the calendar? Have they been on the launch call for new people? Getting them plugged into whatever it is that we're doing as an organization to make sure that those qualifications happen. People who qualify quickly will stay longer because they can achieve more, especially when you have somebody launch in those first 2 weeks. I did a launch party. I signed my hostess from the first Saturday in November, and we got her closed up. And I said, you're not going to believe this, but not only are you picking out all of these XYZ hostess benefits, not only are you picking out $1,000 worth of jewelry for your kit, But put another list aside of 250 more, because the minute I put this in, the next day you're going to be able to pick out $250 more because you already earned the first level of perks as a team member. She was like, what? And she was like over the moon, freaking out, excited when we hung up. These are the types of things that happen when we keep them focused on starting strong. You know, don't have launches going in at 300 and stuff. 600 minimum. And then it's easier. Also, remember, presidential kits are the way to an immediate qualification, because when you do even a $500 show, the other 500 qualifies them. So we'll talk about that on some of the upcoming trainings. But the purpose of this call today was just to kind of get you focused on, this is what we're going to do. This is what you need to know. And now I want to give you these next several days to get with your team members, to see who wants to participate. We're going to get that Facebook group going today so that by Tuesday, you know, we should have everybody in there that wants it. But remember, there's no deadline. So if you sign somebody December 1st, they promote to branch, and you get to call them up and say, did you know that now you're in qualification for a Mercedes? They're not going to even believe what they just heard. And then you're going to say, yep, you actually qualify for me to put you in our Mercedes car club. Would you like to hear more about that? If they say yes, you explain what it is. You sit down with them with a brochure, you go over it, and you get them on track working for it. It's really as simple as that, and we all know how to do it. It's a matter of that we get distracted. We spend too much time on either other types of promotions that don't make us as much money. We're on Facebook distracted by what other people are doing or not doing or pretending to do, and it affects all of our income. It is the holiday season, and if you're not cranking in money right now, we're all missing out. So here's what I would encourage all of you to do in the next couple of days. Again, print the brochure or dig one out of the paperwork that you already have. Doesn't matter what the cover is, because the qualifications stay the same. Okay, put it somewhere. I want you to make a good old-fashioned one through whatever list of what you need at your personal level to earn your Mercedes, even if you've already qualified, because you still need to track your maintenance number, right? And then open your weekly recruiting report and take a few minutes to assess, should I try to attach October to November? Or do I start today and try to go for November, December, and then do my maintenance month, January? If you're a senior division, it's a 1 month thing anyway. So then in that case, just go ahead with November's numbers. And then do the same with those on your team that want to participate. And sometimes people are like, man, that's like 4 people. Isn't that going to take me like 4 hours to talk to each of these people? Maybe. But what were you going to do with those 4 hours? You were going to check Facebook. You were going to watch through the 3 episodes of This Is Us you're behind on. Those are things that are fun to do, but they're not as fun as driving a Mercedes. They're not as fun as commas in your paycheck. You can get to that in off hours. Try to keep those types of things in mind. When I have a messy desk, I am not handling that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when people are awake and team members are around, right? That's something that I'm doing after 10 p.m. when it's rude to call and text people. So use your daylight and early evening hours for your income producing activities, whether it's your personal needs for doing this and then your team needs, and then continue on. So a fun task I would assign you over the next week or so, I want you all to go to a Mercedes dealer. Because I don't know about you, but I drove a Dodge Grand Caravan for, I don't know, but I had 3 of them for leases back to back to back. So it was the white one, and then I had the silver one, and then I had the gold one. And then from there I had a Durango, and from there I had a Honda Pilot. None of these cars would be described as luxury vehicles. Growing up, my family was the king of the Chevy Cavalier. Perfectly nice car, not a luxury car. So I don't know what types of experience you've all had growing up and in your adulthood, but I never was inside of a car like this. And when I went to that Mercedes dealer, it's not the same as a Chevy dealer. It is just a whole different environment. It feels amazing. They treat you beautifully. You take this road test and you're not even going to believe how a Mercedes like kisses the road and hugs your body while you're driving it. It's not even normal. The seats feel gorgeous. There's 100 ways to adjust. I press number 1 when I sit down, and the whole seat like gets me every spot that I like. The little part under the lumbar and it is ridiculous. And I've taken care of this car. You know, when you have nice things, you take care of them. You know, just like when I earned a designer bag from Park Lane, I take care of that bag. My other bags all have pen marks and spills and all kinds of disgustingness in them. But a nice bag you take care of. There is not a mark on my Mercedes. I get it washed. I don't drive carelessly. All of these things. And I look like a fancy lady everywhere I go. The first show that I brought it to, I recruited the hostess, because when they looked at my recruiting album and saw that we had a Mercedes plan, that they were like, you can get a car. And the husband was like, yeah, didn't you see it? It's right out front. And they all freaked out and looked out the window, and the hostess joined. So these are things that occur when you have the car. So go to a Mercedes dealer, take a test drive, take some photos of yourself with these cars, and I want you to post them on Facebook and say, oh my gosh, I am so excited. I just learned that I am in qualification to drive a Mercedes. Which one should I get? Does anyone know anything about Mercedes? Because there's sedans, there's bigger ones, there's small SUVs, there's big SUVs. And it's a big decision. I have the smallest of the SUVs, and I freaking love this car. So take pictures of yourself and you put it out there to the world that you're in qualification for a Mercedes, because you are. Even if you are not close to the numbers yet, if you're a branch, you're in qualification because you are eligible for a Mercedes. So if you want to say, I am eligible for a Mercedes because you're a little further out maybe than you want to be right now, then say that. None of that is a lie. You are eligible for a Mercedes. And now you're going to be putting your focus into getting it, even if you have no intention of actually getting it, because you can be a Mercedes car plan achiever without driving the Mercedes. I encourage you to do it. And I'm going to actually I have a speaker in mind for one of our calls about the benefit of actually going and getting it and all of that. But that's for another day. Either way, you are eligible. And you're going to put it out there, because when people see that type of stuff on your Facebook, it gives you credibility. People know you take your business seriously. You're not that mom at school that's always selling something else. You sell one thing that you are focused on, and that you are serious about your business, and that you're somebody to work with, because when they deal with you, they're going to get their jewelry. They're going to have a fabulous experience. Their customers are going to be well taken care of. So, in these last 5 minutes, does anyone have a question or a comment?
I just want to say thank you, Michelle. Like, this is really awesome of you to do this for all of us. I just really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, and it benefits all of us. It helps me, it helps my team, and we're all the same team. And I just think that this is a great way to all work together, because on the trainings, you know, we have many rock star leaders on this team, and some are brand new, like your own self, Kathy, and some have been around a long time. But everybody has some sort of strength. The trainings that you're going to receive will be recruiting focused. However, we all know that unless you are meeting enough people, it doesn't matter what your recruiting skills are. You have to be able to be out there meeting people. So there will be, of course, bookings, trainings, and things like that as well. So no matter what, your income will increase if you not only participate in the trainings, but apply what you're learning.
I just want to say thank you, too. I want to thank everybody for being on for your because I think it's always more fun when you have more people working together. So I'm excited about what's coming. I'm going to look at Mercedes this evening. I need to do that and take some pictures and post it on my page.
That's right.
And say something about it. So I thank you, and I thank everybody for being on the call today.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to get the Facebook group moving, and to join the group, I'm just letting you know up front that I am putting a question on there. The first question is going to be, who is your leader? So that I make sure that we keep this within our organization, because I just feel like that keeps us focused and together as leaders and team. And number 2, it's going to ask, what are the Mercedes earning requirements at your level? So that if people are going to come join on the group, they will have had to take the step of knowing what it takes to earn the Mercedes. So make sure that you know that answer, because I'm not letting you in without the answer, which is really more for your team members than you, but maybe not. So I guess we'll see. But thank you so much, everybody. I feel like this is going to be so energizing and amazing for all of us. And I want to see fleets of Mercedes parked outside of shows and team meetings, and I would love to take a picture at convention of all of us with our ribbons or buttons or whatever it is they're giving. And maybe we can have a special luncheon at convention for everybody who participates in this group. Ooh, we are going to do that. I just remembered I did that with another training and it was really fun. Ooh, the ideas are endless, guys. All right, have a great rest of your day. I'm going to post the recording, and for anyone who came on late, and of course for those that missed. Have a great rest of your day. Go kill it this weekend at all of your shows. Bye.
Thanks, Michelle.